Again, still from the AIMA Web TV, I'm with Albano Agabiti, the president of Asnacodi, who is the president of Asnacodi Condifesa. So what is this defense consortium, which is a consortium of farmers? Thank you, everybody. Now, this association, the defense consortium, started in 1971 on the basis of the support of the government that wanted to develop passive development for farms. And especially in the 1970s, the numbers of farms was immense. We're talking about millions of farmers. The legislator defined that when or if the farmers were to come together in a consortium and have collective policies, they in fact would not pay taxes on policies, but also gave a public contribution, not just to hand out money, but because when there is a catastrophic event like the flooding, if the state has to pay a lot of money, well, rather than give a minimum contribution each year for the policies, which we're seeing with earthquake risk and so on, the farmers then would be able to get up off the floor again by themselves and not weigh upon the government budget. This was a great intuition. It was very forward-thinking, especially if we think that today many countries in the world, including European countries, have no such risk management and support system. And this system has been supported in the year. There were two big periods from the starting of the Defence Consortium up to 2004, where the only adversity that was covered was hail, and therefore these were single-risk hail policies that were put together collectively, as their bargaining power therefore was very strong as a collective rather than the individual farmer, and this allowed for claims and compensation in the case of hail. Now, after that, there was a complete change. Before, there were consortium per region, and then gradually they, in fact, banded together because we had to have a minimum number of people. So now there are about 45 consortia, not because they have finished, but they banded together to have more power. Now, therefore, the second period was that to say that it wasn't just hail that was the risk that could be contributed to with public money, but other risks, for example, for this drought, too much rain, too much snow, and so on. And so there were 9 risks that were set down, and up to 2004, there was 50% of the cost of the damage. But with the new reform, there were 9 risks, up to 90% of compensation for the farmer that signed up for this sort of a 9-risk policy. And this led to a very important development. We've seen that we went from 1 billion in the cost for hail now to 12 billion for the number of risks that are covered with this system of defense consortium and collective insurance policies. So we're giving very timely and good answers to farmers. In the last 10 years, for example, this system gave back 5 billion and 750 before, immediately afterwards. And you can imagine, in fact, the sort of damage to farmers had this policy not been brought into being. So you have policies which compensate and risk for the farmers, and you, in fact, have been invited to AIMA to see what can be done in the face of climate change. So the recommendation that you would like to give to the farmer, what is it? Or to people who are listening in, as to how a farmer or the people should face this world where we have weather which is very different. We're talking from a region like Emilia-Romagna that has always been able to get back on its feet, but unfortunately it has had its share of disasters. Now this system, which gives a prompt answer to farmers, is beginning to wear down a little bit because the increase in weather events and weather changes, the new climate situation that we're now living, in other words, as individuals but also as enterprises and farms, productive farms. This new situation requires radical decisions on the part of the institutions, the farmer themselves, and also a change in the sort of insurance policies that we have been writing. In the last 5-6 years, we've had an escalation of events that has characterized our regions. We're in Emilia-Romagna, and we had several floods very recently, and we saw what happened in Valencia. And again, these are things that have never been seen before in the memory of man. And you have to consider that in 1 year, in fact, we have had too much rain, drought, damage from flooding. Then we've had also floods in the summer, floods in the winter. So how do you get over the fact that the insurance is there to try and restore, compensate for unexpected damage? But these happenings are increasingly, in fact, not unexpected. It's almost as if a person went out in his car and had an accident every day. That is not an unexpected event. So the insurance policy can't be the right answer. The solution, rather, has to come from several quarters. The first quarter is that the revenue has to come from the public sector, because revenues of the farmers have to increase. We have imports from outside of the EU products which are very similar to EU food products, but which don't respect the same health rules, the same social rules, and they don't respect the same environmental rules. So producing goods, paying people $1 a day, and using chemicals which have been banned for years and not respecting any environmental requirement is easier. So this is what we have to do, to give revenue to our companies. When a farmer has better revenue, well, then they can better face risks. And then we also have to look at climate risks and do something about what is happening, and also enact active defense. First of all, investment policies. I'm talking about regional investment policies, and we have to reward those farmers that do this sort of active defense, anti-frost, plant rescue, developing catchment dams where there's too much water, and very other measures to offset and to avert these catastrophes that happen. And then last but not least, we have to further strengthen the insurance policies which are managed by this defense consortium, and they have to be strengthened in vis-a-vis these events like hail, drought, etc. But very often the lack of production is due to the ensemble and all these events together. Hail perhaps might not not cause great dam. But if you have winter drought together with low rain in the spring, when there is blossoming and further damage in another season, we have low production or no production. So as well as the traditional policies of individual risks, which has allowed us to have 12 billion in insurance, we have to find innovative instruments which must be very much in tune with the precision of farming of today. We're here in EMA to celebrate 4.0, 5.0, all these instruments which support the farmers' decisions will allow us to develop insurance policies and tools, and also mutual collective policies which will allow farmers to be covered by these new types of risks. Thank you for being here.